Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to bring or react to a very interesting conversation between God Sad and Rajiv Malhotra ji. God Sad is asking Rajiv Malhotra ji about Hinduism and the uniqueness or the universality, and also he will go into Hinduism and explain the basic principle foundation very nicely about the Hinduism. And I don't think I've heard this kind of explanation from anyone from the West explaining about Hinduism so nicely. It's not a very long video, but please stay with me, and we will go through this video. And if you ever want to understand Hinduism, I think this is the clip you need to listen to, and keep it always saved in a bookmark, because it's absolutely fantastic. So let's not waste time and listen to this conversation. Also, I will put the link to the original video in the description box, so if you want to watch the whole interview, you will enjoy that as well. Okay guys, let's go.
From the Mizrahi Jews, or do they look, whatever?
They look different. They look different from other South Indians.
So we're talking
Okay.
about
But I think they're
Jews in India
pigmatized
at the
because they've
moment,
lived in
but
the
he'll
South,
come
which
to
is very
Hinduism
warm
in a
climate.
second.
North Indians, compared to the South Indians, have little different pigments because of climate.
Sure.
It's the same people, same ethnic groups, but they're pigmatized differently. So I would say that you can tell the features are different, but they have become Indianized over the generations.
Got you. Okay, so next, what I wanted to talk about
So here we go
are there elements in
with Hinduism.
Hinduism? So, as an evolutionary psychologist, I'm interested both in human universals, things that make the Bolivian consumer and the Nigerian consumer and the Canadian consumer similar, because they share a common biological heritage. But I'm also interested in studying the evolutionary roots of cross-cultural differences. Why is Indian cuisine spicier than Swedish cuisine? So we look both at human universals and cross-cultural differences. Are there elements, going back to our original conversation of Hinduism versus the Abrahamic faiths, are there elements in Hinduism that you would consider universalist? I could find it in any faith tradition. And are there unique elements of Hinduism that I couldn't find anywhere else?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, one of the books I wrote is called Sanskrit Non-Translatables.
I read that book.
And that book basically says that there are words in Sanskrit that capture experiences that are not found in other traditions. And
Guys, just to let you know, if you have not read that book, non-translatables, Sanskrit non-translatables by Rajiv ji, you must get that book. It's absolutely brilliant.
hence, there is no English equivalent or Chinese or Hebrew equivalent of those. You can find approximations. And I grant that every culture has the non-translatables. There must be Hebrew non-translatables. There must be Chinese non-translatables. So the Sanskrit non-translatables capture a whole lot of this, what is unique about the Hindu tradition, because there are words that don't have an equivalent. The basic difference starts. You're an evolutionary psychologist, so let me talk about the human mind, the consciousness.
Sure.
The Vedic idea, which permeates Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism for sure, is that there is one consciousness that exists, and we are a manifestation of that consciousness. Now, the difference being that in the Abrahamic traditions, God stays outside the universe. God is in one bucket, and then there is the physical cosmos in another bucket. And God's interaction.
So Rajiv ji is explaining the difference between the Vedic and the Abrahamic faiths. So it's quite important to get that understanding.
With the cosmos is the subject of a lot of theology, and he interacts through prophets. In Christianity, he also comes in as his son. He takes form, but in Islam he doesn't, because Muhammad is not a form of God. It's clearly mentioned, and the Judaism also he doesn't. So, but in Hinduism, not only does he manifest as Jesus, but it does it over and over again, okay? And not only that, but the entire cosmos is nothing but the body of the Supreme Person. So the matter, the philosophical debates in India are that there is a potter who's making something out of clay, and he can shape clay in different ways and make different things out of it. The question comes, where does the clay come from? Where did the clay come from? And it's not ex nihilo as in the Abrahamic tradition that it came out of nothing. In the Vedic traditions, it is the Supreme Person's own and infinitesimal portion of the Supreme Person becomes the clay of which the whole cosmos is made. So so everything is sacred. That is why we are accused of idolatry, because we find sacredness in everything. We can look at any object, even the things that I don't like, even the virus, the COVID virus, and even the bacteria, and even my enemy, even the dangerous things, even the poison. They are not. There is no such thing as a devil, and everything that exists, living, non-living, whatever, is nothing but a manifestation, a form of the one supreme person. So the one consciousness has taken.
I'd just like to point out that our masters obviously had said that there are different energies. Prakriti also is energy. The soul is also, Jiva is also energy. But there are different types of energies. I have made videos on the origin of soul, and in the series on my YouTube channel, so you can go and watch that. And I'll put the link in the description box as well. But this is what the core of Hinduism is, that everything comes from God. That's why we do not have an issue with we see sacredness in everything. If anybody asks you next time why do we see sacredness in everything, this is the reason. And Rajiv ji is explaining so beautifully, so I don't want to interrupt anymore, so let's go.
This form as matter, and then entered this matter to move it forward in evolution, and then enter it again to move it forward further. So the evolutionary jumps are what the tradition calls involution, which means consciousness gets entangled in matter, which is nothing but consciousness already. So let's just say the big C consciousness becomes a small c little matter, and let's say then C2 is the big consciousness gets into the C1 and makes it into C2, and then the big consciousness gets into C2 and makes it into C3. So it's a series, an infinite series of evolutions, each of them brought by the involution of the Supreme Being into his own manifestation. So it is not a dualistic system. We have a big debate between dualism and the unified idea. The dualism camp says that there is God and then there is matter, and then they have to face the issue from the opposing camp. How did this matter come? Where did it come from? What is its origin and all that? Whereas the non-dualists say that there is no such thing as separate matter. That also is a form of the divine, but divine has voluntarily taken the form to look like matter, to behave like matter, to behave like it's just it's dense, non-living entities that follow some algorithms and laws of nature, and that is the world of causation. So you have in Indian metaphysics world of causation, which as a scientist you will understand. The world of causation is what we are discovering in physics. All the causation laws that we know in physics are part of this world of causation, and we keep discovering new kinds of physics, new kinds of causation. Then there is a world of consciousness beyond causation. So every one of us has the capacity, whether we achieve it or not is a different matter, to untangle ourselves from this world of causation. And that is what the ultimate aim of meditation is. It's not just relaxation, it's not just to improve your cardiac functions, all those are side effects, but the real function of meditation and all the spiritual practices is to restore and recover our state of consciousness which is beyond causation. So when Buddha achieves nirvana, and when a Hindu rishi achieves moksha, which is somewhat similar, and the same experience is in all the dharma traditions, they are describing a state of beyond causation. So they are not affected by, your body will die, you will fall ill, but it's not you. The self is higher than all of this, because the real self is beyond this causation. However, Rajiv is a kind of a belief that I am this body, the self entangled, the real self entangled in this physical body, thinking it has identifying itself as being limited by this body, having the goals and agendas of fulfilling the desires of this body, that entity, which is not really the real self, but that entity is what Rajiv is. So Rajiv's spiritual quest is to discover and experience the real self and be able to watch Rajiv function the way you're sitting in a car and you're not the car, but the car is driving around. And so the body is, and Rajiv included, is like a vehicle, is a vehicle for the spiritual being to move around. But the spiritual being is separate from this vehicle. This, I think, is the quintessential Hindu teaching, and it's very different from the idea that we are original sinners. Because when I have a discussion with Christians, often they start by saying, "Have you been saved?" And I start by saying, "I was never condemned to begin with." And you seem like a nice guy. I don't think you were condemned. I don't think you've done anything wrong. So why would you be condemned? And
Right.
then the discussion in a direction they're not used to, because they're used to somebody saying, "Oh yeah, I've been saved," and they'll say, "No, no, no, your saving is not real. It's not authentic. Mine is more real." And then you get into who has the right history. But I avoid that whole controversy by saying I've never been condemned anyway. I don't need to be saved. So the depth of this position is that we are originally divine. We are not original sinners from a condition from where we need to be saved. We are originally divine. Every creature, even the little ant, even the bacteria, are all originally divine. And one divine, one, that have taken forms in different bodies and started behaving like separate, independent living creatures, restricted in those bodies and restricted by the laws of causation. But that's illusionary and that's temporary. The ultimate absolute nature of all these entities is that they're originally divine. So this, I
I
think, is quite a remarkable conclusion.
so I wonder then if right, if the Catholics start with the premise that they are born of original sin, and as you said in the Hindu tradition, you're born as a divine entity. I wonder if this may be a stretch, but I wonder if on an existential level, the person who follows Hinduism is inherently more existentially happy because he is not squashed by the stain of that original sin. Is there any empirical research that suggests that inherently Hindus are more likely to be existentially happy because of their faith-based teachings as compared to, say, the stifling of guilt that you might experience in Catholicism? Has that ever been
So,
studied?
now I think this is a very interesting question. There's two differences. One is the idea that my ultimate reality of who I am is not only untainted, but nothing wrong can happen. This body, they can throw me in jail, they can burn me, they can, kill me. Maybe I'm poor, but whatever it is, these are clothes I'm wearing. These are clothes I'm wearing, and the clothes are dirty, and maybe they're ill, and they have all these problems. But that's not who I really am. I'm being told to constantly remind that I'm someone else. The second part is the law of karma and reincarnation, which says this life is not the first one, not the last one. So it also gives you a sense of, hey, I am dealing with the results of causation. I did some actions, and the cause effect is that now I'm facing certain predicaments, and now I have choices, which will be the next line of actions. So I am here. It says this life is not the first one, not the last one. So it also gives you a sense of, hey, I am dealing with the results of causation. I did some actions, and the cause effect is that now I'm facing certain predicaments, and now I have choices, which will be the next line of actions. So I am here because of my circumstances, which I created due to past actions, and the choices I make now are the fresh actions for which I will have repercussions in the future. That's how causation works. The difference between causation in physics and causation in the Hindu metaphysics is that the Hindu causation goes beyond a lifespan. It says that there is from cause, between cause and effect, there is an imprint. Cause produces an imprint, like a cloud. On the cloud there's an imprint, and then that imprint affects the consequences, like quantum, in a quantum sense. So all the karma I do produce imprints that may or may not manifest in this life. They may manifest in a future life. So when I die, this baggage of imprints has to find another body to express itself, and it may find a body of this kind of person or that kind of person, whatever is the best fit to express itself. And so this karma keeps playing out from life to life. Now the effect of this is a bit of a complacency. Hindus can also be very sort of complacent and say, now, why should I worry? Why do I have to go and fight these guys? They'll figure it out. If not in this life, next life.
I was going to exactly speak to that point.
And maybe I'm suffering, but you know what? I'm doing the right thing. Next life I'll be okay. So the accommodation of not being limited to this bodily self and not being limited to this particular life of the bodily self, these two have the effect that Hindus can easily talk themselves into saying that all is well, you don't have to worry. This has good things and bad things about it.
Right.
I mean, the problem is that you don't have the ambition to go fight and kick ass and get organized and take revenge, and all those kind of things are not as easy. It's very difficult to mobilize Hindus to go out and do something because they'll always give this kind of argument. They'll say, why should I do it? He's doing all this because he's ignorant, but I shouldn't be like him, like that. On the other hand, the positive is that there is less. There's no call for violence against others. There's no concept of an infidel. Now, of course, Hindus are violent like all other people, but that's not because Hinduism is making them violent.
Right.
They, being human beings and having the same kind of ego limitations and problems, they have these tendencies too, like other people. But as far as the dharma is concerned, there is no compulsion in the dharma, no injunction that says go out after those infidels and kill them or do this or do that to them. That does not exist.
But to build on your comment about Hindu complacency that you mentioned about 2 minutes ago, the point that I was going to make is that, for example, if you look at atheists, and I've made this argument, that an atheist, in a sense, by his non-belief, has to abide by carpe diem as a motto, because there is the party is going to end and there is no do-over. So you better go after it today, and therefore that's an antidote to complacency. Whereas in the grand metaphysical narrative of Hinduism, where there is going to be reincarnation, it speaks exactly to your point, which if my lot today is not good and I don't seize the day today, no worries, there will be some future life where hopefully I will get the rewards that are due to me. So does that build on what you're saying?
Yes, it does. I would take it a step further. I think you're on something important. I would say that the effect of this on, let's say, environmental policy is different. Yeah. Because a Hindu says that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be born in this world. I better not have messed it up. I better not have messed it up. It's whereas an atheist would say, I better not mess up the environment because the fish will die. It's bad for the fishing industry. So it's more of a material, pragmatic, egotistical reason for not messing up the environment. The environment is matter meant for human pleasure, according to that view. And so I don't want to destroy my material possessions. Like I don't want to destroy my clothes and I don't want to destroy my house. Similarly, if I extrapolate all of society, the environment is our house, we should not destroy it. But there's nothing sacred about it. It is not God's manifestation. It's not God's body like it is to the Hindus. So for the Hindus, the reason why the environment has to be protected is because the environment is God's form, and therefore it is a sacred entity. And I, as a creature, will going to be born again and again to this is my domicile, and so I don't want to ruin my domicile. So the depth of conviction on which the Hindu operates as an environmentalist is quite different from that of other people.
Got you. Okay, a couple of general questions about Indian society that I find interesting again as an evolutionist. So I'll talk about two things: arranged marriages and the historical caste system.
So, guys, this was the discussion I wanted to share with you and react to, and I want you to comment as well. What is your view? What is your opinion? One thing which was missing from Rajiv Ji's conversation was that why do we come here in the first place? What was the cause that we took birth in this material world? So our Guru Maharaj has shed some light on it, and I have made a video, The Origin of Soul. I'll put it in the description box and you can go and watch it. That why we are here in the first place, what actually causes it. And also, Rajiv Ji did not talk about how do you engage in this world. So our Guru Maharaj also has given that how do you engage when you know you want to get out of this cycle, and how do you come over that complacency, how do you come over that indifferent when you know this world is no good, or I'm here temporary, that indifference and complacency and dejection. And then how do you engage with this world in a more positive way, in a more way where there is more dedication to this world. So that also has Maharaj has explained, and I will make that video, that how do you actually tackle that question. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I thought that this was a very, very nicely explained, although from Rajiv Ji's point of view, I think he's talking about Advaita Vedanta, if I'm not mistaken. We are Vaishnavas, I'm a Vaishnav, so it's a slightly different take on a lot of things he has said. But but we have a lot of commonalities, and the way he explained the whole concept of Hinduism and the emerge of the jivas and the matter was good, was quite nice, and I thought I'll make a video and react on it, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation as well, and I hope you like my reaction, and I will keep bringing these kind of videos which will actually not just engage and start to make you start thinking about. I feel there's a lot of misunderstanding about Hinduism. Not enough people out there who explain Hinduism is with such clarity, such as Rajiv Ji was doing there. I mean, if you want to read the books, you should read his books as well, because they're very, very good. So anyway, I will not take too long, and I hope you enjoyed the reaction, and please like and subscribe and comment, and also please support this channel, because I'm working very hard bringing this unique content for you to enjoy. So until the next time, see you and take care. God bless.